Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, I'm all set up. This is a special evening. This is definitely a special evening, so we welcome you to Afristream Special Edition. How special this is? This is news that's real, like it's popping. And I had to make sure that I brought this out to you. So we want to thank you for those who and I had calls this week, and individuals were asking me what's happening to the African, what's happening to the African speaks. Now, anytime you don't see me, I'm definitely physically, literally physically working in the community. Everything about Pan Africanism and growth happens every day of my life, and I try to make sure that I pour in and pour in, not only to the virtual world but also to the physical world. So I've been busy in our community preparing for our doors to open. So there's been a lot of wiring and configuring and setting up and switching out equipment and upgrading. So there's going to be a lot to come. We got a lot coming our way via World of Akiba Land, via Pan African Orthodox Christian Church. So y'all be prepared. But however, here in this experience, one, we want to thank you. So if you're watching, uh, we're always bringing you must see live stream because our focus is definitely the rise of the African. It is definitely the rise of the African, the social media Pan African movement, where we are in our Garvey days. We're in our Garvey days where we are laying blueprint down for the next generation to continue to struggle because we are bringing black people together under one umbrella. Man, I got some major things unfolding physically in the community and then virtually in the community. It's so much we got planned for you guys. But tonight, we want to talk about something that has is it's rocking the Pan African world. It is literally rocking the Pan African world. So again, if you're watching us on Facebook, we're gonna please ask you to like, comment, share. This is we produce must see live stream. Yeah, I'm gonna coin that phrase, must see live stream. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can get us at any time that we are doing our presentations and our classes. Of course, we thank you for coming out and supporting us because we are definitely growing and we're building. We got community support coming in different areas. So one love. We have on Sundays we have Keeberland Inspirational Sunday. Tuesdays we have the African Speaks. Saturdays, believe Thursday nights. It's supposed to be Thursday night, but we had to skip Thursday night because I was physically in the rafters laying cable, setting up a new digital system, audio system in our community. So we got some great things coming to you. Some great things coming to you. Saturday, and after I get off of this, I'm gonna start studying and getting my notes ready for tomorrow's African history class at 1 and African spirituality class at 2. So be there, be there. But tonight, again in our studio, we are talking about something that is brand new. So if you haven't know, this is what's coming to you. Let me switch this. What's coming to you is not going to be uh, about Will Smith. All right, we're not talking about Will Smith. That's not Pan African news. That's not about the growth and development of a race across the globe. Nah, that's not big enough. I mean, of course, we can have smaller dialogues, and we had individuals talking about the incident in the smaller dialogue. But that's not where we at. We talking about some big stuff. This is not about Ukraine, right? Or the fact that the the election in France, you have a individual running for president who is a sympathizer of Putin. And right now, it says the news is out there. They said Russia might be getting support from France if this election goes their way. Ain't that something? But that's not the Pan African news I'm looking for. That's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, we're discussing. Let me see if I can get my face up here. Well, you don't have to see me, you can hear me. We are literally discussing the new African superpower. The new African superpower. Now, you might be looking at me like, wait a minute, a new African superpower. Now, This is incredible because this has a lot of implications, and I don't know if y'all know this. And so I've been working on this story for a minute. Now I did not know that I was running out of time because not Uganda, Congo was making moves, and so I said, well, I got some time to put it together. So I was spending the time that I thought I had actually physically building in our community, right, to prepare ourselves to be a part of what is a Pan-African movement. Now, we've talked about Rwanda, we've talked about Ghana, right? We've talked about Zimbabwe, we've talked about a lot of places in terms of development. Now, right, we've talked about the fact that the agricultural Africa has to now develop 70% of their agricultural production in the next 10 to 20 years, where they said the first millionaires, the next billionaires come out of Africa are going to come from the agricultural environment. We've been here, right? We've discussed it, but I haven't reported on it. The what is it? It's not Trans African roadway, a roadway to connect all of the countries on the continent. But we have not discussed this. We have not discussed the EAF, East African Federation. No. And I was building on this. So I don't know if y'all know that this happened just not too long ago. I don't know if you checked the news or somebody told you that one of the largest African superpowers have been developed. It has been developed where there is one country. 8 countries came together to make one country. It's eight, seven. No, that's eight. No, it's about seven. Came together to make one country. Yes. Where they have access from coast, the Indian coast, to the Atlantic coast, from shore to shore, across the entire continent. It is the first African world power. Now they've been in development and they've been talking and they've been in development, but now and so they haven't really got down to the presidency and everything else, but they've been working on it. And so I want to show you something that just happened, and you're going to see it. We'll listen to it. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. But this is big because we have American leaders. American, and because that's where we are. We're in the African diaspora here. And you want to talk about, we have individuals who talk about Pan-Africanism. But they don't be about Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is understanding that the diaspora is huge. So we have to find ways to create coalitions so that we can increase our power and global influence. We have a problem in the Americas increasing community influence, where you have community leaders come together to create coalitions within that community to control that community. Very rare. It's very rare. I don't see. I don't even know of I might know one, but I don't know how effective they are. An African American panel of leaders here in the city of Atlanta that work together to make sure that black people grow outside of the realm of systematic oppression. Like we have this argument talking about a critical race theory, trying to force it into schools. I'm like, no disrespect, y'all so stupid. Create your own school so that you don't have to argue with what your kids are being taught. You want to argue and force a government that does not want us to teach our kids in a way so that we can be independent and self-determined. You're really fighting for civil rights when we should be demanding human rights. And the only way you do that is power versus power. Let me get this right. The only way you do that is power versus power. This is what happens when you're dealing with a people that believes that they should have everything that everybody else has. We're talking about a new world superpower today. Wow, wow, wow. Y'all get ready for this. Because this is going to change the planet when these brothers get it right. Now, I'm not saying colonialism doesn't play a place, has a place in the black man's psyche all across the globe, because it still does. I'm not going to say that the mark of slavery doesn't play a factor in how we govern ourselves and interact with ourselves, because it still does. However, you got East African countries making a decision and saying that we're done with watching global affairs only be affected by Europeans. It's time that we start dealing with things as a people, putting aside our differences and making sure that we get to live according to how we see fit. We can't do nothing about Ukraine, not us, right? Can we do something about the starvation in our communities? Absolutely, but it takes people thinking. Can we do something about the development of a nation that holds all resources? They're doing it, and it's not just individuals anymore. It's not individual countries. They're calling this the United States of Africa. What? They're just following the blueprint. They said, let's be a superpower in this up and coming age. Now, this is what we're going to show. The first video we're going to show you. This video is going to be about the signing of the DR Congo becoming a part of the East African Federation. Now, with Congo becoming a part of the East African Federation, it makes it into the superpower. And then we're going to go backwards. So I want you to see the signing. And then once you see the signing, I'm going to show you the development of how they became a superpower. Let's go.
Which has moved closer to joining the East African community after an assessment by a verification team. The team spent 8 days in the eastern city of Goma and is expected to write a report about their findings on the DRC's suitability for admission to the regional bloc.
Wait. I don't know if that's the video.
So the Democratic Republic of Congo has begun what we can term as the last step to be formally admitted into the East African community, signaling an additional market of 90 million people for the trade bloc. In Nairobi on Monday, officials of the bloc launched negotiations with Kinshasa, promising to reach a conclusion before the planned timelines of March this year, when the DRC is expected to be rubber-stamped by the community's summit as the 7th member of the East African community. 7th member, you say. So who are the other 6? Back in the 70s, the East African community had 3 countries, that is Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. It dissolved some few years later, but in the year 2000, the 3 countries came together and the community decided to reinvent itself. 7 years later, Rwanda and Burundi were admitted to EAC, and almost 9 years later, South Sudan joined in the year 2016. The current 6 members of the EAC have a combined population of more than 160 million citizens. By the DRC, with its 90 million citizens joining East African community, this will create a huge market of more than 250 million people. At the moment, the benefit is the expansion of the market. The East African Community Protocol supports free movement of goods, capital, and people within the region. This means it will be easier to open new business in the DRC, and likewise from the DRC. There will be elimination of barriers, for example work permits, to free movement of labor and people. Citizens of Congo will easily move to East African countries without visa. Likewise, citizens from East African member states will move to Congo without visa and work permit requirements.
Now, this is not the first one that I wanted you to see. However, it's giving you a blueprint of what has just happened, because they were discussing with the Congo about becoming a part of the East African Federation, right? And so they're lining it up. They said, well, what are the other 7? And he gave you the list of the 7. Now, being able to interact and move, because now when you're going from country to country in Africa, you have to have blueprints. They got borders. They got a whole bunch of things going on. They got multiple different types of finances and money. Yeah, this is an issue. However, they've been working on this for a while now, right? A while now, trying to create a superpower. So we're going to watch this and we're going to let it continue. Let's go. Showing you how black men. So, oh wow, we talk about this. This is a Pan-African wake-up. If you can't believe black men care about family, people, race, development, strength, power, and generational wealth, stability, history, making history, bringing believing in Pan-Africanism, believing that God created us as equal as anybody else, so that we need to be able to same every other race has a superpower nation, that we can't be a nation too. Man, look at this.
To greatly improve trade between all the 7 countries. Kenya, for example, is leading African countries as DRC top investor nation, with Kenya's Equity Bank being the top bank in DRC at the moment. Congo is also known for its natural resources and minerals, so things like wood and timber from Congo will find their way easily to the East African market. You have to note that products like timber, wood, and minerals from Congo have always found themselves into East African market, but through smuggling and black market.
Now they get to share resources with each other with low tariff cost, with low cost. Trade, interact without smuggling. We can help each other build a greater nation as one. Woo! You said what? 7 countries now unified. Wow! If all of Africa could do this, this is dangerous. Let's go.
By DRC joining East African community, there will be more scrutiny of the origin of such product into the East African market, which will earn Congo more revenue and taxes, and of course help reduce the black market and smuggling of minerals. Another benefit that Congo looks forward to is end to state-sponsored proxy rebel groups by Uganda and Rwanda, whose main agenda were to create mineral smuggling routes. By Congo joining the East African community, it will be the responsibility of all 7 countries to police any rogue state among them.
Now, that's just like NATO. That's just like NATO. If there's anything happening within another country, then these other countries come to support that one country. So you're dealing with the issue of security now. We have to be able to secure the nation in which we create. Now, I'm in Atlanta. New York is not separated from the Union. Look at what happened in Civil War. It's just not happening. And so if something happens, in one city, what does the United States do? Send the Federal Reserves, right? They protect their own. They're protecting their own. They're moving as one force. This is a powerful, beautiful thing to see. I'm glad to see it in my lifetime. Wait till you see how they rank. And I'm going to switch this over to another video so that you can see how they rank in the midst of other superpowers. Woo, let's go.
And now to the interesting part. According to the EAC treaty, all 7 member countries
EAC.
have to adhere to principles of good governance, democracy, the rule of law, observance of human rights, and social justice. As it stands now, not all 7 countries have managed to achieve this. Also,
Before he said they haven't achieved it yet, but they're working on their constitution. And what he said was human rights, respecting human rights. We're over here in a country where we're still fighting for civil, meaning that that's just an agreement with the government, but at any given time they can change the law and that agreement is gone. Human rights, that everybody needs to be treated equal because of who we are as a being, not because the law says. Everybody should have unalienable rights. You can't take away. Ain't that something? It shouldn't have to be a law. Let's continue. Because they making sure that African, we want human rights.
7 of them are in different levels of achieving the above principles, with Kenya leading the pack. Eventually, the long-term goal of East African community is to form the East African Federation or political federation, which will be like a federal government with 7 autonomous regions and one single president. The presidency will be rotational from all the 7 regions.
Woo! You see it? Presidency will be rotational from all 7 regions, meaning that it's not just Rwanda ruling it for a particular time, but they're going to rotate so they all get an opportunity to rule and govern the people. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's because they come as all individual nations. Not here with the individual states. They have individual nations, and so we're going to allow this cycle to happen. So within your time, you will be able to govern the entire country. Wow, this is beautiful. Let's keep going.
Like they do it in Switzerland. Experts believe that if this federation comes to be, it will be the largest and most powerful country in Africa. It will have
the largest and most powerful country in Africa. East African Community Federation. What? Let's go.
the largest combined land area, the largest combined population, and the largest combined GDP. In other words, it will be a superpower and most probably among the top 4 superpowers in the world.
The top 4 superpowers in the world. This is not, wow. This is not something that is going to happen. Let's get this straight. I'm just giving you the history behind it. We got another more history behind it before I show you them signing the document where this is done. This is done. There is a new African superpower in the world, the 4th largest superpower in the world, and it's the EACF. East African Community Federation is what he called it. Wow. Let's go. We're going to switch over to the next. Well, see if he's got any. Nah. Let's switch over to the next one. Next video.
Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and South Sudan, the 6 current members of the East African Community, otherwise known as the EAC. Although it would be pretty poor to begin with, the EAF would have the potential to be Africa's first superpower.
Now, Africa's first superpower. This is before they brought in Congo. So this was supposed to be the first video, right? But you're seeing it now. We're going back just to give you a heads up of how long this has been developing and what this means to the African continent and what this means globally. Because this should be able to influence other countries to come together. Because they made this the 4th world power. Wow. Can you imagine that? Community leaders coming together to make one movement. That's a lot of discussion, a lot of giving up. But most of the time, most of our community leaders function from an ego. Ego. And I can tell you, I know it personally. Ego. Where you know talent, you know intelligence, you know skill sets, you know everything, but you don't let nobody shine but you. Sometimes people got to step out and do their own thing. Ain't that something? What? Let's continue this.
In the relatively near future. With a population of around 195 million people, the EAF would be the 2nd most populous country in Africa, after Nigeria, and the 8th most populous country in the whole world. It would have a landmass of around 2.5 million square kilometers, the largest in Africa. And
now that's before the development of the Congo, right? Because when you add the Congo to it, they came the 4th world power. Here they're the 10th. So understand that they've been planning this for a hot second.
10th largest in the world. Its largest city would be Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, which has a population of around 7 million people, although its capital would most likely be Arusha, a smaller city in Tanzania near the Kenyan border, which currently hosts the administrative headquarters of the EAC. While the official language would be English, the lingua franca would most likely be Swahili, and the currency would most likely be the East African shilling, which was used by Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda until the 60s. Admittedly, the EAF would be pretty poor. It would have a GDP of less than $224 billion.
That's before the addition of the Congo, because now it's way more than that.
Which, for context, would put it about 49th in the world, just below Portugal, and a GDP per capita of around just $1,150.
White folks ain't see this coming. They still thinking, okay, if that happens, but they knew we can't do this without Congo because we want to be able to control the coastal area.
which
Let's
would put it
continue.
about 180th
Let's
in the
get back.
world. But there's reasons to be hopeful. East Africa has consistently been the fastest growing region in Africa in recent decades. From 2010 until the pandemic, Uganda averaged 5% annual GDP growth, Kenya and Tanzania about 6%, and Rwanda about 7%, making Rwanda one of the fastest growing countries in the world.
Wow.
As a whole, the EAC's GDP, excluding South Sudan, grew an impressive 92%, from $106 billion in 2010 to about $204 billion in 2019. For context, that would amount to an impressive average compound growth rate of 7.5%. If the EAC continued on this path of rapid growth, or even experienced increased growth thanks to the new economies of scale, then it could rapidly become a relatively wealthy country. And it's not
This is before the addition of the Congo.
impossible to imagine it being Africa's next superpower. Now, this might sound like a wild idea. Those of you who know anything about African history will know that drawing appropriate borders in Africa is, to put it lightly, a bit difficult. But these countries, and especially Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, have been cooperating with one another for the best part of 100 years.
If you had a choice, would you rather
Get out of here.
Things went well for the first 10 years or so, but the EAC unfortunately collapsed in 1977 thanks to diverging political systems. There was a dictatorship under Idi Amin in Uganda, socialism in Tanzania, and capitalism in Kenya. The EAC was revived in 1999 when the leaders of Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda signed the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community. The EAC had a four-step plan. First, a customs union, second, a common market, third, a monetary union, and fourth and finally, political federation.
That's not, and again, so you see a people, it takes, wow. Someone said it took centuries to destroy the continent of Africa. It took time before they destroyed the continent of Africa. It took diligence on Europeans' part to destroy the continent of Africa, to destroy your people. But do you see the fight of a people? I wish if you came to the African Speaks and we talked about what keeps us going, and we said it's that guard particle, that vibration, that pineal gland. It's that melanin, that us being able to connect with the presence and power of the Creator and our ancestors. There's always something coming into us that gives us a higher responsibility, a higher a sense of purpose. It's way more than you. We over here in the Americans talking about me, 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 me. They over there talking about us, 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 us. I am because we are, and we are because of the I am. What? Come on. They making moves and been making moves for you see it, ages. And now they're manifesting in a lifetime that we can see it. They are the examples. We should not start dealing with the issue of separatism, us and them. Because when with the wars that they've had with each other, they can say us and us. Why can't we? Let's go.
In 2005, the three countries agreed on the first step, a customs union. In 2007, Rwanda and Burundi joined the treaty, and in 2010, these five countries agreed on a plan for a common market with a free trade area and harmonised regulation. Although there's still some way to go here, largely because countries are wary of imports undercutting local businesses. For example, Kenya has locked out Ugandan milk, timber, sugar and maize because it would undercut Kenyan farmers. South Sudan applied...
That's like Walmart going into certain areas of the city and destroying small market business. Walmart at one point was not allowed inside the city limits because it would destroy how mom and pop was making these stores. Now, of course, with the end, cities didn't care. Atlanta just gave up and said, yeah, go Walmart, whoever they paid off. And so now these little spots, little grocery stores or whatever you have, meat markets, got to contend with the Walmart price because Walmart is right there. Before you had to travel outside of 285. But they're making sure we can't have you destroy local business. That's how much we care about our people and our citizens. We don't want you destroying local business. And so they blocked it out. Ain't that something? I wish we could do that. We did it for some time, but Yeah, Walmart had more money and paid off some folk in the city of Atlanta, and you know Atlanta, their government, we remember our black folks. So who got paid? Who got paid to bring Walmart inside the city? Who got paid? Yeah, let's go.
For membership in July 2011, the same month it formally gained independence from the Republic of Sudan, and
Oh, I'm
its
gonna.
application was approved in March 2016. The Republic of Sudan also
Now in this, okay, you can't see it yet. In this, I want you to see where the EAC is previously. This is before this week. Before this week, you see how they on that side of Africa, right? Adding the Congo, it means that they have access to each seaport, shore seaports. Wow. Wow, do you understand what that means in terms of being able to trade on both sides of the continent? We're both sides of the world. Wow, this is about to wow. I'm hoping this government gets put together the right way. I might know where I'm retiring. Let's go.
applied to join in 2011, but its application was rejected thanks to its poor relations with both South Sudan and Uganda. Anyway, when it comes to the monetary union, which would essentially involve these 6 countries all using the same currency, there's been some progress, but there's still a way to go yet. In 2013, every country in the EAC, apart from South Sudan, agreed to progressively converge their currencies by harmonising monetary and fiscal policies.
Now let's talk about this on a Pan-African perspective. Understanding cryptocurrency, and this is here us in the States. If black people made a decision to create their own cryptocurrency, yes, it can happen because you can say whatever you want to be currency. It's up to you. And so we created our own economics base. And back in the day, it used to be cowrie shells. You know, if the cowrie shells were going to become a financial source, we'd run and grab as many cowrie shells as we possibly could. But yes, you can create your own crypto, and you can agree to do commerce and business with that crypto. And then if you sit down and it's a blockchain affair where no one can take or steal or mismanage it because it's within a particular technology where if you have it, it's yours, and the only way that they can get it is to get it. Can't be taxed. That's what the government is trying new ways, because you got Russia when they froze Russian accounts in regular banks. Russian millionaires and billionaires switched and said, we done with currency. We done with governmental currency and we're going crypto, because governments can't stop cryptocurrency, right? So, and I'm not just saying that that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying that if we discuss this as community leaders, we can be one unified group. And I'm a thank you for Jermoja Baby Ajiman. Y'all look them up. And the PAOCC, Pan African Orthodox Christian Church, with the concept of nation within a nation. Ain't that something? A nation, because they got a nation within a continent. But if black people did it here, it would be a nation within a nation. It's a beautiful concept. Beautiful. Why aren't leaders talking to other leaders to manifest a stronger alliance of black people? Let's continue.
And Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda now present their budgets simultaneously every June.
Wow.
Unfortunately, a currency union still looks difficult, given that A, each country still has its own unique currency, and B, each currency has experienced wildly different exchange rate fluctuations, which means convergence will be difficult. Anyway, on to the last bit, a political federation. While this was originally supposed to be the last thing on the list, it's been fast-tracked so that it can be implemented alongside the monetary union. In 2018, a committee was set up to begin the process of drafting a regional constitution, and in January 2020, the committee announced that it would have a draft constitution ready by the end of 2021.
Now, okay, because it's 2022. I'm gonna fast track this in a few minutes. Understand this: United States have had so much input in creating and drafting other people's constitutions. Ain't that something? They brag about how they created and drafted the Haitian Constitution. This ain't got nothing to do with the United States. It's got nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with France, got nothing to do with none of them. Because these black men understand that we can do this ourselves. That's why it takes time to make sure that everybody's people are receiving the best possible agreements that they can possibly get. It said it should be ready by 2021. Wow, it's 2022. I'm going to show you something in a few minutes. Let's go.
With ratification being expected by 2023. Now, if we're being completely honest, this timetable was always a bit optimistic. The committee has since struggled with delays, inadequate funding and political tension between Burundi, Uganda and Rwanda. Rwanda actually boycotted the latest round of talks and accused both Burundi and Uganda of supporting opposition political movements in Rwanda. The most recent attempt to revive talks in October didn't get off the ground, and the 2023 deadline looks increasingly impossible. So that's the long and short of it. An East African Federation is still on the cards, but it probably won't happen by 2023. The last thing worth mentioning is that in 2019, after an invitation by Tanzania, the Democratic Republic of the Congo applied to join the EAC. Their application is currently being considered, but if they end up joining the EAF, it really would be a superpower.
Woo! Okay, so now he's discussing it. It really would be, and then look at it, how they will have access from shore to shore on the continent of Africa, right? That would be that's wow. Now let's go.
The DRC is a massive country. It would nearly double the area of the EAF, making it the 7th largest country in the world. And the 4th most populous in the world after China, India and the US, with a population of around 285 million people.
285 million people, 4th largest nation in the world. Africa controlling African resources for the sake of developing a superpower or an area, a modernized civilization for African people, where you don't have the influence of European points of views unless you just don't want to. And right now, they don't have it. Ain't that something? How beautiful is this? How beautiful is this to see this in our generation now? Because we always say, oh, we'll never come together. The issue is, it's not the issue of we never come together. It's the fact that you got no faith. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I believe that there's going to be an experience where there's one nation within nations. This is why when we at our community, we call it the world of Ikibaland in terms of the youth program that we have. Why? Because we believe that we have the ability to bring together all black youth across the globe. Wait till y'all see what drops this year. Let's continue. We might drop this in the next 2 weeks right after Easter. Our plan.
While the DRC is a remarkably poor country, it has a GDP per capita of just $500, one of the lowest in the world. It's chock-a-block full of natural resources and would provide the EAF with a port on the west coast of Africa. The point we're trying to make is that an EAF that included the DRC really could be a proper African superpower. Anyway, what do you think? Is the EAF just a pipe dream, or is it actually going to happen?
Now, what do we think? Some people will say things, at one point, I don't know. I don't believe it. One guy was talking about the fact that there's too many different religions. How you going to do it is they got Islam in there, they have Christianity in there, then you have traditional African spiritualities, and it's just too much religions. Get out of here. The America is here is a melting pot of different faiths. A melting pot of different faiths. Why would you doubt that an African country could come together and not respect tribes being tribes, the right to define ourselves? Let's get on to the new news of what has happened recently. Where we at? Right here. Here we go.
To request the council to the community and the legal team to step forward and guide their excellencies on signature. The legal team and the council.
Get ready. Y'all watching history now. You're watching history now. And you can't say you don't know about it and you didn't get it from the Afristream, right? The Africans did not bring you this news. This is news that I want to hear. This is news I want to see. This is news I want to smile about. I can jump up and thank the creator for these black men attempting this to bring black people together from coast to coast, woo, on the African continent, making the fourth largest world superpower. Woo! They carved up Africa. They carved it up. Europeans carved it up. And black men are waking up, coming together to bring it back, to bring it into an experience where our voices will be heard, woo, across the globe. Now, you got Ghana telling everybody, come back to Ghana, come back to Ghana. What happens when the fourth largest superpower in the world begins to create comeback cities, civilizations, and start building and say, look, we need the intellectual power of the African diaspora to come home to the fourth largest superpower in the world and help us build, help us teach, help our medical centers. How many black nurses are going? How many black doctors are going? How many black engineers are going? How many black teachers and professors? Can you believe that we could be a global people that finally gets respect because we choose to define ourselves? Because if these brothers can believe it, why can't you? Let's go. Watching history.
I also invite the SG to witness. Council to the community, kindly guide your excellencies on signing of the treaty and the communique. Thank you, Council to the community.
History. This is recent news. This is this year. It's not maybe last few days or not last few hours. This video is only like 14 hours old. History. Wow, I don't want to get emotional. This is emotional for me because I spent the majority of my adult life fighting for Pan-Africanism, building a community that is a nation within a nation, where we are building elements of infrastructure. Where I think we got away from infrastructure recently, but and we're slowly trying to get back to that. But to have a whole life focusing on Pan-Africanism because God calls us to be a people, that's kingdom building. That's kingdom building. Creating a life experience where we are respected amongst each other and amongst the other races that God created on this planet. And then taking our place in the world where you got all these countries and so much resource in their land. Man, this is beautiful. Let's watch them, the signature, them signing the development of the fourth largest superpower and the first African superpower. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm too excited. I'm gonna be quiet.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. I'll request a copy each. A copy each as the exchange.
People sit in that room and they can ask themselves, or they can tell their children, that I witnessed the development of the first superpower, African superpower. I was sitting in a room and I watched black men come together, black leadership, real black leadership that you sit down and when you're looking at it, this is a union beyond unions. I don't see any European heads. I see black people enjoying the experience of bringing the diaspora together. I told y'all we were in these Garvey days with the Pan-African, with the rise of the African, the social media movement. Let us be a part. I'm gonna continue building the way they building. I'm gonna continue connecting in my community as much as possible. because that's an experience right there. We're not alone anymore. We've never been alone. We're eradicate they if they could eradicate boundaries and barriers and discuss what it truly means to be God's people and seek to have a footprint on this planet, to leave something behind for our kids to truly enjoy. If they could do it, we could join them, meaning become bigger and better communities here where we're reaching out to them. We're trading with them. We're getting direct resources and they're getting direct product from, man, come on. It's a beautiful thing. Let's continue. Let's watch it together.
Let us appreciate their excellencies after annexing the copy. I'll invite more heartier clap of applause for the newborn baby in the community, DRC Congo. I'll invite their excellencies at the center as we give them more heartier clap, ladies and gentlemen. More heartier clap. It's a good day. It's a memorable day for us as a community. We thank God.
Look at that. Look at that.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Take our seats, the guests. I will now most humbly wish to request His Excellency, please, the rest of us can be seated kindly. We'll be seated.
As they sit and they sit down and they begin to, what happens after this, right? Where they begin to, what happens after this. If you want to go talk about something, let this go viral. That we have the first African superpower. East Africa's done it. The first African superpower. I don't know if y'all saw the Warriors back in the day, and Osiris, and I'm old school, right? Osiris was and it's called the Warriors, and Osiris was in the park because he called all the gangs in New York together, and he everybody's there and everybody was in peace, and he was trying to unify everybody, right? And he stood up in there and said, "Can you dig it? Woo! Can you dig it? Can you dig it?" The first African superpower exists at this moment. And what black men do from this point is what black men do from this point. But this is the most beautiful thing I have seen in my life right now, other than the birth of my children. Raising black kids. Yes. This, we now, in my community, we own 5,000 acres of farmland, and it's our Bugaland Farm Project, where we're seeking to feed black people all across the world, to create a black enterprise of black supermarkets where if COVID happens, something goes bad, we are able to eat. Now, when we got that deed and the deed was done and we own the land, yeah, that was a party all outdoors. This should be just as big. This, to know that there's an African superpower, everybody get their passports, because when it's time to go say hello to the first African nation, that's just like you going to you taking a trip to Australia. You know what I'm saying? Y'all taking boats to Greece, right? You go into one country, yeah, go to the first African superpower in the world. Man, I'm gonna be sitting down and stewing on this for a minute before I think there was one more historical video about this union and how it came about, but you really don't need to see it because you've seen everything, right? You've seen it all. You've seen it all. I don't know what this one is. What is this one?
So kindly tell us in the comment section below, do you think East African community will one day become the
Yeah, that's old. So we saw that one. We saw that one. Just making sure y'all got a chance to see it all. Making sure y'all got a chance to see it all. What's this one?
Democratic Republic of
Yeah, that was it. Just making sure I gave you everything that you needed to see and experience to understand what is now existing in your lifetime. We saw Obama. We saw Miss Jackson. Now we see the first African superpower. It's a lot. God is doing a lot in the world, in the lives of the African diaspora. For us to remain disconnected from our own history, for us to remain disconnected from our own culture, from us to remain disconnected from the opportunity of being self-determined, only embracing this European life that they've given us, thinking that it is all for us to have. No. We have we are the largest group of people. Can you imagine an Pan-African citizenship where black people all across the world don't matter? You have dual citizenship here and in the continent where they call you home. We help develop the best everything technologically. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. So now you have countries from coast to coast being able to share in their own resources and developments, building nations. I hope that my grandkids get to see what it's like to visit a highly modernized utopia for black people. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. No place is perfect, but it will be a part of who we are. If you can't get with this, man, I don't even know if you're black anymore. But I hope you can enjoy witnessing real history being made. Now that is global. And I always seek to have an experience, global influence, global power, global infrastructure. Wow. That's it. That's what it's about. That's the rise of the African. And with that, one love.